Dr. Andrew Asamoah, thank you very much for making time for us.
My pleasure.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
A&C, how did A&C now? 25th year, I think.
A&C, it was opened by President Kufuor in 2006.
Okay.
But it was built in 2004.
Right.
And then it was opened. So roughly about more than 15.
More than 15, just about 20 years. And it's become a very dominant feature in the East Legon landscape. What was the vision when you started it?
But the first mall, and I think the strength of A&C is the location. It's a neighborhood mall. So when you are living here in the evening, you just walk, meet your friends, watch football. In the morning, you go and go to the swimming pool, do your exercise. Weekends, you bring your children to the playground. So we made it that if you are living around, everything you want, you get it here. You want to see your doctor, we have a doctor here. You want to see your dentist. So the way we put it's not a real mall in the sense of only retail. It's a mixed center.
Wonderful.
Fuel station. Check this thing. So that is what is making A&C.
Okay. We'll come back to the A&C development story in a moment. But as curious as I am, I'm sure our audience would love to know who Andrew Asamoah is. Where were you born? What was your family?
I was born in Kumasi. My father is from very close to Padasu, called the country. And my mother is from Asin, Siblings, which is in the central region. And, but I stayed all my life in Kumasi. I went to school there. And I went to primary school, middle school. Then I should have gone to St. Augustine's. But it was very difficult. So I had to go to day school in Kumasi Technical Institute. So that's how my life started.
And you then went on to the law school, called as a barrister, and you worked in Nigeria. I mean, I'm curious about that period of your life.
What happened was that I was very lucky because when I did my O and A level, I also did a professional course, Associate of the Institute of Commerce. So I was one of the few people in my early 20s to get a job with the United Nations.
Wow.
So I was sent to Congo, Brazzaville. So I was in Congo, so actually I started from the bottom till I reached the very top. So I started from Congo. From Congo, I went to Nigeria. And all the time I was there, I was doing a lot of courses. That's how I did journalism with Wisconsin. That's how I did journalism. Then I wanted to do law. I got admission to London University. But I had to get leave without pay to be able to go. Organization said, no, the maximum leave without pay is 1 year. You can't be given more than one. So if you have to resign and go. But by then, I advanced well and I could see the prospects. So the university told me that, look, the only place in Africa, London University, we can do the course is in Lagos University. So I went out of my way to get myself transferred to our office in Nigeria. So it was when I was in Nigeria that I did my law degree, and I went to the bar in Nigeria.
So you were called to the bar in Nigeria?
Called to the bar in Nigeria.
Fledged barrister?
Yes.
In Nigeria?
Yes.
That's interesting. Yes. What was it like? Did you practice in Nigeria at some point?
No. Weekends I used to work with some firms out there. But it was when I was called to the bar that Brechu invited me to come to headquarters in Geneva for interview, and I was appointed to be there. So that's why I moved from Nigeria and I spent the rest of my career in. So when I went to Geneva, I was like the lawyer for the organization because we have internal systems and we have the ILO tribunal. So when a staff member is not happy, like here, you go to the tribunal. So I was representing the organization in the tribunal. So that's how I moved from Congo to Nigeria to headquarters. Then I moved till I became director of administration and finance, director of human resources, special advisor to the director general. It was a long journey.
It is a long one, but I like the fact that you have demonstrated in the story you've shared now that tenacity to fix problems,
Yes.
because you wanted to study law. The system at the time was not favorable, but you found a way. How much of that would you say has shaped who you've become?
I think when I was young, my father, I was only living with my father. My father had some problems, so he lost his wealth. He even had a problem with a hand. So I have no choice than to sell a toffee called black and white in the market. Later on, I graduated to selling records in Kejetia. And that's how I couldn't go to boarding school because I need that money to survive. So from the very beginning, at the age of 12, 14, I knew money. I have opened an account with the post office. I have to put money there. So I think that helped me. Like when I went to the Congo, because we were living in a rented home, my family, the first thing I decided is to try and build a house. So at the age of 26, I built my first house for my father, and then it continues. So I think the difficult upbringing sometimes it shapes your life. You appreciate life, you appreciate and I knew when I was in school I was good. So I felt that I needed to push myself to reach my limit. And I think I worked very, very hard. Very, very.
Today, a lot of young people have great aspirations, but oftentimes you talk to some folk who have, walked the path, and they don't seem quite impressed with the prospects of the young. But what do you think is missing today?
No, for me, I think hard work, hard work, hard work, tenacity, honesty. You cannot achieve all these things if you are not honest in everything you do. You must always look outside the box. What can I do more than, So people, what I've seen, a lot of people don't have a vision. If they see their friend is doing this, they want to do it. Another friend, then they change. No, you should know where you are going, what you want. At the time that I took the decision to relocate to Nigeria, it was a very difficult decision I took. But I knew that I have to get my law degree to be able to move into the organization, in the organization. So it's hard work, honesty, tenacity.
Hard work, honesty, and tenacity. How did that help you in your career at the UN?
So it
A
helped,
very sterling one of that.
yeah, it helped me in the sense that I practically went to the UN as a clerk and ended up at the top director at the headquarters. Actually, I was the first Black to be Director of Finance and Administration, Director of Human Resources, because normally, the powers, the Western world, they always finance, America always take it.
Mm-hmm.
Human resources, British always take it. So sometimes it's not easy to move through this, but by the grace of God and hard work, I was able to break the barrier.
What's the culture like? You joined the UN quite early, so I would say that part of your formative years, in your early 20s, but that would have started from here. How was it settling into a totally new culture, working with people from all corners of the earth?
Can you repeat it?
How was it like settling in to work with people from all walks of life, from different parts of the world? Having grown up in Ghana,
Yes.
and then your first real job, you're out of here, and you're working with people from all over the world.
Yes. No, okay. Before I left, I went to Congo. I was working with the Cape Coast University had just been opened.
Mm.
And at that time, the vice chancellor, like the principal, was an Egyptian. And I think he was related to Fatia.
Mm-hmm.
So I was assistant to him. So it is from there that I got this opportunity to go to. And when I went initially, I just wanted to work and make money because by then I have got admission to Columbia University. Interesting to read journalism. But when I went there, within 1 year, I was identified and sent to Geneva for training. And I came back and I was immediately moved to the professional level. So I saw that there was a future.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I would stay and at the same time do everything I wanted to do as I'm working.
Now you returned to Ghana, and your successes didn't stop.
So when I was in Geneva, because I joined the organization very long, at the age of 55, I reached the pinnacle. I couldn't go anymore. And I've done so many years already. So I decided to take early retirement. Because if you have done 30 years, you don't lose anything.
Okay.
So instead of staying, I decided to come. And that's how I came. And then when I came, I had already bought the land. But to be very honest, I didn't know. I thought maybe I would be building apartments and things. Then when I was here, this idea of a shopping mall, having traveled all over the world, I saw that everywhere I go, even in Africa, in Kenya, in South Africa, they have Harare, they have shopping malls. So why is it that Accra has not got a mall? So this idea came. And for me, having lived in Europe, I thought all I need to do is to prepare my business plan, go to a bank, and maybe they will say, okay, you have to put down 15, 20% and get a loan. But when I went, it wasn't so. They said, look, you are not being a business person. You've been outside. You don't know the market here. And this shopping mall you are talking about is a foreign idea. We don't think it will work here. So efforts to get loan was not possible.
But you didn't stop.
So what I have to do is I have properties outside. I had a house in London. I have my own house. I was living in Geneva. And I have 2 houses in the States. Because when I was working, I was young, I was putting all my money. So I have to sell all of them to start A&C.
That's how much you believed in the vision.
It was a gamble. I mean, a lot of people felt I was being the same. You work so hard. Let's invest this money for me. You sit in the house. Why are you going through all this? Even the banks told me, then bring the money, we'll invest it for you. But I said, somehow I believe it will work.
Well, it has.
So this is what happened.
It's very
It's
interesting.
a big risk that I
Well,
took.
I hear, the bigger the risk, the bigger the payoff. The payoff.
Then at a point, I approached the World Bank IFC.
Mhm.
They came and said, how much do you owe? I said, I don't owe it. So all this you did on your own, it will help you. That's how I started working with the World Bank. Now all the banks want to give me money now.
At the time that you don't need them.
Now all of them want to give me money now.
Really. But I mean, today, I mean, you were awarded the Order of the Volta for your work in private sector development in 2008. But a lot of people wouldn't know how much work you did to actually earn the respect and the honor of the Order of the Volta. You served on the National Pension Implementation Commission, which sought to restructure and make future-proof our pension system. How was that process like for you?
It was very interesting because in the first instance, pension had been part of my portfolio when I was in the UN. I was the representative of the World Health Organization to the Joint Pension Scheme. For all the UN system, we have a joint pension scheme. So I was representing the organization at the scheme. And in the WHO, we have our pension committee. I was also chairperson. So I knew about pension. So when President Kufuor invited me to serve, I felt that it's an area I could help. And it was very interesting because what we saw was that the whole pension was from SNIT. So the SNIT will give you lump sum and they give you monthly pension. We felt we should detach, create three-tier system. The first tier is for SNIT to pay you your monthly pension. The second tier is for the workers to decide where they want to invest it. That is a lump sum they will take when they are retired. And the third tier, a lot of companies have another
The Provident Fund.
Provident Fund.
That's right.
So the third tier was the Provident Fund. So you have your first tier, SNIT, you have your second tier, which you yourself decide where you want to invest. Then you have your Provident Fund. Most pensions, even when we went to this pension, we took it Swiss at this three-tier.
Okay.
Even when we went to Britain, they didn't have a three-tier system. So the system was well put together. But unfortunately, I think the implementation has not been as good as we wanted it to be. Because what we wanted was that every worker should be able to own his house by using his pension as collateral
To get a mortgage. Really?
Buy his house, and during the period that he has to work, pay, so that by the time he's 60, he's paid, he has his house,
And it has a big income coming from
this is all in this. But unfortunately, it's not the implementation. But I think with time, everything will be put together and all these things will come together.
You also served as the chairman of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of your work gave birth to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. And I remember the conversation around single spine and how that was going to harmonize the salary structure for civil service. What was the thinking and was the outcome what you expected?
The thinking, the plan, the report was perfect. Our problem is implementation because we based it on the UN and also America do that. We wanted to be performance based. At the end of every year, you will be assessed, and based on the assessment, you get an increase. It was not to be automatic. Because if you make it automatic, there's no incentive for people to work hard.
I just have to show up, clock in and clock out.
You see? And for example, we introduced what we call market premium. What was market premium? Because we were going to grade people according to their qualification and experience. So it will happen, for example, that a medical doctor will be graded like a PhD in the university. And all of them will be, let's say, level 12. But we felt that it was more difficult to get medical doctors. So we introduced a market premium. And the whole idea of the market premium is that if the medical doctor and the PhD doctor are both on level 12, the premium give additional to the medical doctor. But in the course of implementation, when the government has problems and they want to find a way out, for example, they use the market premium to increase the salary of drivers. That was not the idea of the market premium.
It was really to actually create an equitable space where if you had a shortfall, like you said, we always have doctors, you would have now created a certain supply line because people would want to go and become doctors to earn more.
Yes. You know, and your grade is based on the work you are doing and the requirement for the job. Meaning that if there's a job which requires a master's degree and you have a PhD, you are not going to be paid PhD because the job requires a master's degree. It doesn't require a PhD, you know? So it has to be, it's sad because the way it was put together, and I've seen it working in the UN system, it worked very well. I mean, some people at the end of the year, they don't get increase because they got a bad report, you know? But so the implementation has not worked very well.
If we were to fix it today, because evidently the policy still exists, if we were to tweak one or two things, what do you think would have to look at to get this back on track?
Now, what you have to look at is go back to the foundation of the system, which is performance-based. It should not be mass every year, everybody get an increase. No. You, the staff member, you have your post description. At the end of the year, you appraise yourself. When you appraise yourself, you send it to your first level supervisor. He will review, check how you have been able to fulfill the assignment given to you, and he will make his decision. It will go to the third level, and you'll be allowed to comment so that it's open, clean, and based on that. And sometimes you can give people even as a related increase, depending on their performance. But as so far as nobody, the performance is not there, and you are just working, whether you work or not, at the end of the year, you get your increase. Who is going to work hard? So we need to go back to the original thinking. And like I said, the market premium should only be given people who deserve it. For example, if you have teachers working, but you have some teachers who want to go to work in the villages, you give them a hardship allowance. This was in, so that it's an incentive for you to choose, do I stay in Accra and get 1,000 cedis, or do I go to the village and get 1,300? So all these things were in. But I think with passage of time and with agitation from the CUC, the government sometimes get rattled, and then they use things which they shouldn't have used.
To pacify the situation.
To satisfy the situation outside what should have been done. So this is some of the problems.
You know, you served as a chairman of the National Labor Commission. What was it like resolving labor issues back then?
I think for the National Labour Commission, the work was good in the sense that, the Labour Commission comprises of 7 commissions. 2 appointed by the government, 2 appointed by the labor, 2 appointed by employers. Then the employers and labor nominate the chairperson. And when the president assents, it means that all the 3 of them have agreed on the chairperson. So when you are meeting, you have people who have the interest of the workers there. You have people who have the interest of the employers there. You have people who have the interest of the government there. So it's a very, very balanced distance. But what I can say that we work in a way that sometimes when we are taking decisions, you don't even recognize who
It's
is representing who, because we all go by the law.
Okay.
We go by the labor law, which is the law we use. So when you are there, honestly, you don't even see that he's just fighting for labor because he's representing them. No. So I think what we did, which I'm very happy during my tenure, is we started creating offices outside Accra. Now we have an office in Takoradi. We've created an office in Kumasi. We put an office in Tema. And I think we will continue and maybe put one in the north, so that, because sometimes a laborer has a problem in the north. How can he come to Accra to make his case? So if you have this thing there, then they will be the first place he will go. In case there's a problem, then it can come to headquarters. There he doesn't even need. So here we become like the court of appeal. So after the reaching, then they come here and we look at it. So I think the idea of having offices outside is helping, and it will help more. And I think they will continue to expand the system.
Dr. Asamoah, your accomplishments are enormous. And I just want you to tell me about what the Institute Pasteur is and how you became unanimously selected as its first president.
Okay, the Institute Pasteur is a French scientific research organization which came into being in 1873. In 1923, they created different districts. So one of them was in Dakar, Senegal. So when the countries got independence, a lot of the French countries, speaking countries, they turned the institute into their national destiny. But Senegal didn't do that. They continued to stay with the headquarters, France. So in 20 something, they decided that they now want to make it into a foundation with the French, the Senegalese government, and the headquarters of the Institute Pasteur itself. So they have representation. The Minister of Finance and the Minister of Health were on it. The French ambassador and other people were on it. But in the law, they wanted 2 neutral persons who are not in each of them. Okay. So somehow I think I work with the French regional director in Copenhagen. I have a feeling that he recommended me to them. So I was here when I was requested. I went there, we spoke. So when we met, then we have to decide, choose a chairperson. And unanimously, they chose me as the chairperson.
I'm sure they did.
And I think the reason that they did that, because they saw my combination of having worked in the office setting and not having come and develop something. Yeah. I think they saw that I can bring some ideas into it. And I think I did. because when I went there, I realized that when the French were there, they built a small vaccine production center. But most of the people there are scientists, big professors, doctors. So they were always getting grants to do the work. But then I realized that small vaccine unit, whatever we produce is immediately bought by WHO, UNICEF, and the UN organization. So I brought the idea that why don't we build a bigger laboratory and produce all the different vaccines? They said, but where are we going to get the money? I said, we borrow.
Mm-hmm.
They said, how do we borrow? We don't know about borrowing.
We write for grants.
I said, okay. So what we did is we wrote to the French government, we wrote to the Islamic Bank, we wrote to Steve Jobs and other. Then, because of what we wanted to do, because we put it as this is something to help Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So the Islamic Bank agreed to give us 20 million euro. 10 million is a grant which we will not pay. And 10 million we pay. You know, the Islamic banks, they don't put interest.
Yes.
So administrative cost of 1.5%. Steve Jobs gave us 2 million. The French gave us 5 million. 2 million was grant, we pay back 3 million. The president of Senegal gave us 2 million and gave us land. So with this, we started the biggest ultra-modern laboratory in Dakar, which is now ready. So even now, Dakar has been one of the few countries which was selected for the COVID
vaccine. Yeah, the mRNA production. Yeah, so Ghana, Dakar, Senegal, and Rwanda.
And if you remember, Dakar, the institute where I was, we were able to develop our own testing district. We didn't use this thing. So that's the institute. And the institute per se, overall, has produced 12 Nobel Prize scientists. The institute per se, they developed the smallpox vaccine. They were part of the AIDS district. So it's a very, very distinct. So I did one term, unanimously they asked me to do another term. I did 10 years. I said, look, the law said 10 years. I said, no, you are staying.
They amended the law for you.
They said, you are staying. So that is what happened. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And what I enjoyed with the Institute, everything we put together happened the way we wanted it to happen. It was implemented. The problem, as I told you, some of the things we did here, the implementation was wrong.
What was the difference between
the difference was that we implemented ourselves. So I was leading the implementation with the team. Whereas here, you do the report, you give it to the government. So you are not part of the implementation.
Let me set you up for a bit of a hat. Borrowing from your experience working in private sector, leading projects, and your work helping government to set up the 3-tier pension system, and then also the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, and the evidence that the implementation has let the overall great ideals of these things down. Is it the doing of the politics of the way we run our politics, or should there be a system that we decouple and allow the technocrats and the specialists to do these implementations and report to the government?
In the way we run our politics, because, for example, when we finish the pension report, we took it to Parliament, it was approved. In 2007, the government changed. And politically, all the members were removed and new people were put there. People who didn't know the idea and the thinking and this and so that's one thing. So the politics also has a problem to do with that. And two, when the government is in power, he is obliged to appease the labor union. So sometimes they want something and they have to find a way which is strictly not in this thing to give it to them, and thereby they are not following how it should be implemented. So like you are saying, if these things can be done and you have an independent body to implement, irrespective of the government coming or going, I think that will help.
It's something worth considering.
No,
because the lack of continuity.
That is our problem.
It dates back to Confanato Teaching Hospital, maybe a mother unit, for example, which is recently being refurbished.
Yes.
It's all the way back in a champon.
Exactly. Because how can you have a chairman of a committee who have worked 8 years to put something together, and the government change, and the new chairman is put there, and there's no working together, handing over, explaining what has been done, because the new government has come, they have to put their own people. It's not helping the country. It's not helping.
There's some thoughts that maybe we should have a unified national development plan, and that we don't care which party is in government. When you are campaigning, you campaign based on that document and see how you will do yours.
We say all these things, but it never happens. For me, once we have the winner take all, this thing that we have in our constitution, it will never change.
Are you suggesting we should read?
Because I take over, I have to appoint everything, everybody. And you, I know you are for that part. Will I put you there? This is the point. This is the point.
Where would you be able to cite examples where maybe the expression of the Constitution in governments give them an impetus to develop faster than we have? Maybe.
Yeah, for me, I believe that what will help this country is proportional representation, which is practiced in Germany, Italy, Israel, and even South Africa. Proportional representation is that you have so many parties, so all these small parties will be part of the system. All you do is that you make your manifesto. So the different parties have their manifesto, and you, the voter, you look at the different manifestos and decide which party you support. Somebody may like the green thing, so he will vote for the Green Party, even though he knows that the Green Party will not be majority. But the beauty of that is that everybody who gets more than 5% of the total vote has a representation in Parliament. Secondly, you don't vote for your MPs. The party, according to the percentage they got, will choose among themselves the people to represent them. So the MPs will not be forced to give money to help people because you are just representing the party. For me, I think that is the system which can help us. When you go to Israel, you see they're always changing. And there you don't even vote for the president. The leader of the party automatically becomes the president or the chancellor or whatever you want to call it. If you go to South Africa, the young man, Malema, who has representation, you see all of them wearing red. He never won any constituency. He just got 8% of the national vote, and that gives him representation in Parliament.
And the shape policy.
Yes. So if we do that, all these small CCP, DCPP, all these, they will be part of the government. And normally, because there are so many parties, it's always very difficult for one party to make 51%. So you have to have coalition. So you speak to the other parties, You get three of you, you decide to form a coalition, you look at our various manifestos, and we try to merge it and come out with something. Then when it comes to, okay, the bigger party will have the president, the second party may choose the foreign minister, the third party may choose the finance minister. So you spread it. So this is how, for me, I think the proportional representation, and now most of the Scandinavian countries are going for it. But the one we have, as we have, where you have to be an MP and also be a minister, because the MP is supposed to check the executive. So if one leg is in the legislature and one leg is
working for the executive,
what is he going to do? So honestly, I don't blame the politicians. I blame the system. For us to move forward, we need to change the system. If we keep the system as it is, we'll continue to have problems. Whoever comes will have problems. I mean, you read about this recent primaries and the monies which change hands and things. Where do you get that money to give to people? And then when you go there, what do? You have to find a way to get the money back. So I don't even blame the people. I just blame the system. The constitution needs to be changed.
It's a call that's been made. In fact, an attempt was made under the late President John Asamoah. Do you support the school of thought that every politician would re-echo your thoughts about a constitutional review until they realize that once you become president, you're powerful?
No, because the president of Ghana, the powers he has, there's no president in the world. Because when you go to Britain, you may have Labour Party having the prime ministership. But when you go to all the districts, you have some districts by the Conservative, some districts by the Demo, so it's shared. So it becomes a competition whereby you are watching which district is working better so that in future you go there. You see, how can you have, for example, the MPP, who did not win much votes in Volta, having to choose all the DCEs and MCEs over there? On the other hand, how do you have NDC having to choose the MD in Ashanti rate? It doesn't work out. At the district level, you should let the people chosen by their own peers to do the work. You can't be at the center and appoint everybody. It doesn't work. It's dangerous. And I think that even at the district level, at the municipal level, the people should vote for the person who they want. So these are the problems that I think is not the fault of any one particular political party, but we need to change it if we want to move forward.
I agree with you perfectly on that. So, Dr. Asamoah, the ANC story is a very beautiful one. Not a lot of people have demonstrated such conviction to the point where you sell off your properties to finance a dream, a vision. 20 years plus on. A lot of people are wondering, now, what ANC? ANC, what does it mean?
Okay, A and C is Andy and Cecilia. My wife is called Cecilia. We've been married for over 50 years. We've been everywhere together. She is my supporter. She's my everything. So I felt it's an honor that she, for all what we've done together, should be associated. That is what A and C.
If for nothing at all, this statement in this interview is worth the entire interview we've had. But it's really beautiful. And you have 4 children between you.
Yes.
How many grandchildren?
11.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So during the vacations, I'm sure your hands are very full.
Yeah, we have a full. And what we do when we have birthdays like me or Mama, we all travel together. We go to Mauritius or we go to South Africa so that the whole family is together. Because my daughter is a medical doctor, he has her own clinic there. All the children were out, but I've been able to bring the boys to come and help me.
Okay.
So we
It's a good thing. How are you able to get them to buy into the vision to come in? Because, when we go back into our history, we had some great entrepreneurs. BMS, Bruce, Xiao. I mean, today, these businesses are no longer, but there are second, third generation businesses in Ghana that are owned by people who are not of indigenous Ghanaian extraction. How do we change that?
That is the mistake we make. My children, none of them went to school in Ghana. All of them were in private boarding schools, even primary in Britain. In their secondary school, some came to Switzerland, some went to the States. But I knew that if A&C has to survive, I have to get them in. So we sat, they were all, one is IT, one is engineer. They were all doing very well. But I sat with them, explained the future and what is in it for the world. So first, I got one to come. We started with the one they saw. Then the second came. And recently, the third is here. So now, I know that whether I'm there or not, it will continue. Even now, I don't do much. The MD is my son. The operations manager is my son. So they are running the company now. Because when you look, Malcolm, these were children of Chelarams and those, they are the ones, So the second, third generation, interplus. So this is what we don't do. We leave the children outside. Oh, my son is in the US. It's okay. But the day something happens to you, and that boy comes from the US here, he doesn't have any idea about the business, he cannot continue. So you have to you go to the Indian shop in Britain. The father is there. When the son comes from school, he take over the shop. When the shop, the son is staying, the mother will come down. So it's family business. But we tell, I want my son to do, he's doing this. It's okay. Let him go out. Let him learn. Let him get the discipline of working. But try to bring them. That's the only way you can get the thing to continue after the first generation. So this is what we are trying to do.
Well done, and congratulations on that. So now I'd like to learn a bit more about the software that drives you. And we all grow up and we build our own philosophical ideologies as we go. What would you say is your core philosophy outside of hard work, honesty, and tenacity?
Okay, I believe also that we are all the vessels of God. Sometimes God brings us to this earth to help other people. When they say, oh, God will help me, God is not coming down to help you. He will help you through people. So when you get the opportunity, I believe we should help other people. We should impart knowledge to other people. And we should, So I believe that it's very important because whatever happens to you, I don't believe it's just because you are the most intelligent. It's because hard work. I always tell people hard work, luck, and then being at the right place. So when this is put together, So for me, I'm religious, but not religious in the sense that I go to church. I go to church every Sunday. But I believe that the good I can do is to help those who are less privileged. That is what I think God wants us to do. Not just go to church. I'll not go to church and give unless I go to Catholic church.
Okay.
Whatever money I give them, I know the project we are going to make.
That's right.
But I won't go to some of these private churches and give. No, I won't do that. But I believe that what God is giving to you is not for you. It's for you to hold it in trust for other needy people. So these are some of the way I look at it.
What do you do?
I have set up a foundation for education in my father's town and in my mother's town. I have a committee. All the children who finish SHS, if you meet the criteria that your family cannot help you, give you scholarship. So these are the things that I feel we can do to help others. Because you alone, how much you need. So I think that sometimes for me, we are a vehicle of God to do His good. This is how I look at life.
And it's a sound philosophy, something I'm certainly borrowing. What do you do to relax?
You see?
What do you do to relax?
Oh, I dance. I'm a good dancer.
Okay.
I do a lot of exercise. I have a gym in the house. I swim. I bicycle. I go out to bicycle. And I do walking. And I love dancing.
Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Is there a particular genre of music that you like?
For me, the hot one, the new
As
music.
long as you can dance to
Yes.
it.
Yes.
So at night, Dr. Asamoah, if you're lying down to sleep, what's the last thought you have that brings you satisfaction?
Okay, what brings me satisfaction is when I look where I started and where God has brought me. I always believe that there's hands of God in wherever you reach. Because in my wildest imagination, one, I never thought I'll reach the level I reach in the UN, and two, I never thought A&C would be a reality. It's not that A&C is reality, but you know that we are almost finished A&C corner.
That's correct.
Which is opposite the police station. And we have A&C Village, which is at Oyibi. A&C Village is going to be a whole village, going to be homes, apartments, everything. So when you are in that village, we don't need to go out. So when I see what God has done, I don't think it's this thing. Just God, you see me as a vehicle, because why is it that I am a Ghanaian? I built the first mall. There's no shopping mall for a Ghanaian now. A&C is the only fully Ghanaian-owned shopping mall.
True.
So I take satisfaction from all this, and that I'm a vehicle to help other people. For me, that gives me a lot of enjoyment.
It's been wonderful talking to you, Dr. Andrew Asamoah, international diplomat, civil servant, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and I think an all-round nice guy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Great.
My pleasure.
And for me, there are 5 things I'm taking away from this conversation. Number 1 is that life will throw you curveballs, but you must find a way around it. Doc talked about wanting to study law and how he found a way to get transferred to the one place where he can study and work at the same time. And number 2, choose a partner that will go a long haul. As we've learned, A for Andrew, C for Cecilia. That's why you have A and C. And number three for me is the value system, which really is the software that drives you. If it's right, you won't fail. Hard work, tenacity, honesty, and remembering that it is our place to be blessings to other people. And the fourth thing I'm taking away from this is humility. Is being able to recognize the fact that you're not successful because you're special, and that you're successful because you happen to have had God smile on you and could have been somebody else. And so the humility to recognize that it's all God and not you. And the final thing is to live a healthy life. Have a variety of things to do, and your life will be full. Thank you. This has been one of the most wonderful conversations I've had. And I'm thankful to you, Dr. Asamoah.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure.